True heroes tend to be humble, but we've managed to coax them into the spotlight. If you need a quick hit of faith in humanity, come on in and get cozy because hope lives here with Helaina Hovitz Regal.
This is Helaina Hovitz Regal, shining a spotlight on people living with purpose who might even help you find yours. Today I'm speaking with Kaba Valis, who is a life coach at Your Sparkling Potential, helping people with basically every possible way imaginable to become happier and become people who make other people happy, and so on and so forth, and it spreads like wildfire. Mary, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I think life coach is still a fairly new term for people, and it can be very varied. So I'm wondering, how do you work with people to make things just overall better and happier and more meaningful? What do they come to you with, and how do you help them?
That's a great question, Helaina. Some of the top purposes that people partner with me for are to really get a sense of clarity and focus on a specific area in their life. It could be general happiness, that they're just not sure what they want and if they're on the path towards it. It could be towards their career, relationships, or the way they communicate with others. There's just a host of different reasons why people see a life coach. Generally, they're people who just want a better value in their life, a better quality of existence.
Yeah, and I imagine that sometimes it's like people just get the sense that there's something better, but they can't put their finger on it, or maybe they're a caregiver, or they're just having problems with, all kinds of relationships. Like maybe it's just the way they relate to people. Maybe it's a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a husband or a parent, or, really something's just pushing them to say, okay, there's something up with the way that I'm feeling and seeing the world around me. And their inclination isn't to go to a psychiatrist or a therapist. It's to go to you. And so tell me a little bit about the ways that you do work to help people who are looking for these ways to just be on the right path, be happier, and find their purpose.
So I'm going to check off all the boxes of everything you mentioned, because those are the exact reasons people partner with me. In my life coaching, I use what we call the scientific method of coaching. So it's more than just meeting up with somebody and chatting for an hour once a week. There is a purpose and a plan in our gathering. And so part of that is we identify the person, who they are. Sometimes we don't really think about the person we are. We want to learn our personality traits, what area of our brain we use. And then we do a discovery, which is our why. Why are we here? Why are we partnering with somebody for clarity? If things aren't going the way we expect or want or hope, we can then evaluate that and adjust it and tweak it until we discover what it is we want. So the scientific method is a great method. I can and I do give this to the person I'm working with so that they can utilize it over and over again in different areas in their life and continue to find the journey, the joy in their journey. So we're not putting ourselves on the back burner and, being unhappy.
Yeah, and as much as it's scientific, your approach is actually extremely gentle. One of the things I know you do is you often tell people to pat themselves on the back and celebrate, because I think so many of us our brains just kind of for some reason naturally go towards what we don't have or what we're not doing, or like we have a small victory, but like we barely take the time to process it before it's on to the next thing. And your role is kind of like, hey, that's worth celebrating. Maybe it's the validation that we don't have from anyone else, and that like, hey, stop and notice that you're doing great. Don't like let all these buts kind of get in the way. You're kind of like a personal cheerleader, but in a very authentic way.
And I do have a set of pom-poms here, because you're absolutely right. We give the best part of ourselves to everyone else, and we're not as gentle and kind to ourselves when we engage in negative self-talk. And so definitely looking at those little things that are wins. It's such a big part of finding a better quality of life and being more positive. and we may be positive with everyone else and then beat ourselves up. So I definitely love the encouraging and the cheerleading and the patting on the back, because these are the simple things in life that we just neglect to do for ourselves. So that is the greatest gift I can give to help people sparkle.
Yeah, and I actually want to get into the other gifts that you give people, because you do a lot of beautiful volunteer work and philanthropic work and nonprofit work, and I want to get to that in a second. But while we're talking about positivity, a little birdie told me you do this one exercise called turning negative to positive, and I love that because a few years ago, my therapist actually drew a little diagram for me when I expressed worry about like an upcoming speaking engagement, and in one corner she wrote the word anxiety, and another she wrote excitement, and then she drew these two lines connecting them to the same dot, which is the starting point to literally illustrate that they both come from the same place, like the same impulse. So anxiety and excitement start with the same little stimulus, and it's how you pick that. You know, you can pick your thought path and response, and that informs which feeling you experience. So it's like the thoughts and actions then start to flow in after that initial spark, right? And so while we can't control everything, right, as you say, we can most likely influence it, and if we influence it, we have power over it. And so there's this exercise you have that helps us kind of train ourselves to, you know, be more excited and less distressed in so many situations, and that's kind of like making a commitment to waking up and starting the day with some reframing exercises, or really doing it as the day goes on too, as things come up. So I'm gonna stop talking about it and let you explain it.
No, that's so great, because it's wonderful to be enthusiastic. As you said, we don't have control over everything, but we have a choice as to how we can view it or influence it. And so it's a lot easier to take a feeling of anxiety and turn it into a feeling of excitement, rather than to take a feeling of anxiety and try to make it go away. That's going to take a lot longer, that process. So definitely reframing negative thoughts into positive thoughts, which is the same as anxiousness into excitement, is something that everyone can do anywhere, any time of the day, as much as they need to. And it could be as simple as saying, "Oh, it's raining out. This is going to be such a crappy day." Maybe you wanted to wear your nice suede shoes that day and it's just not working out. We put these negative thoughts out in the universe, and then we start to self-prophesize them and make it the worst day ever, because we already proclaimed it would be. So instead, say, you know, wake up, and if you see the rain, say, "Wow, this is going to be a great day for the ducks. You know, I'm going to wear, you know, my cutest rain boots that I have." You know, whatever it is, it could be as simple as that. It's small and insignificant a thing, but it makes you set your mood and what mode you're going to be in that day.
So it's like a lot of people get really anxious about speaking, giving a presentation at work, giving a big talk, even maybe it's a conversation they have to have with a partner. Like, we get nervous to speak. And so the negative thought might be, "Oh, I'm going to embarrass myself. I'm going to be nervous. This is not going to go well." And the positive opposite is like, how great that I have this opportunity to speak. I'm going to do my best, and it's going to be awesome the way it is. It's raining, or, "Oh, I have a headache and I haven't even gotten out the door. This day is going to just be a bundle of crapola." And, you know, the opposite is, I'm going to, you know, give myself permission not to be perfect. I'm going to take good care of myself today. Like, I'm going to do what I can. And, you know, by tomorrow, it's going to be yesterday.
You know, part of that is giving ourselves permission to not be perfect and learn the strategies for success.
Yeah. And speaking of feeling good about ourselves, you have a lot to feel good about in a very selfless way. Every time I go on Facebook, I see some way that you're helping someone somehow, whether it's a fundraiser or a volunteer commitment. So tell me about, I know that you do volunteer work on your own, and you work with some nonprofits, and you throw your own fundraiser. So tell me a little bit, and there's kind of a central theme that runs through these. So tell us a little bit about that aspect of your life.
I love to give back to the community around me. I wake up every day realizing that I am a completely blessed person, that all my needs are taken care of. I have food and water and shelter and good, loving, supportive relationships. And sometimes that's a lot more than other people have. Maybe all my wants aren't taken care of. I can't buy every pair of shoes or every pocketbook I see that I like, but I certainly am not wanting for anything that I need. And so I decided years ago that I was going to throw myself a birthday party. I come from a huge family with 8 kids, and so growing up, I never had a party. We had enough of our own kids to eat the cake, so we certainly didn't invite neighborhood kids over to help. And so when I turned 40, I said to my family and friends, I'm going to throw myself a big birthday party. And as I thought about it, I decided it would be a theme party like all the cool kids are doing. And I thought more about it and decided I'm going to invite only my female friends. Not that men are not giving and loving also, but in general, women are more of the nurturers in relationships. They're always giving and doing for others and tend to put themselves on the back burner and don't always make time for themselves. And so I thought I'm going to just invite my girlfriends over. We're going to have hors d'oeuvres around the pool, and they're going to be served by buff, handsome young men. And so my husband at the time, well, he's still my husband. My husband said, I know all these crazy things. I'm surprised he's still my husband. But he said, where are you getting these buff young men from? And I just said, never mind, just know that I can, and that I did. And these young men elected to serve us topless. They were topless with a bow tie on, so that was all on them. But it was a lovely afternoon for the gals to focus on themselves. And often because they might feel guilty that they're taking time for themselves, heaven forbid, I decided to make it a fundraiser. So they were still giving to someone while they were, enjoying the afternoon. So at that time, we collected for a local place in my area called Dottie's House, which were women and children escaping domestic violence. So with the 35 women in my backyard, we collected a huge truck full of items, gift cards worth $175 and over $600 in cash. Since then, we've started this as a movement because it was just too great not to continue. But for me, it's like planning a small wedding, so I can't do it every year. So every other year, we are in a restaurant and we do some type of fundraiser. It's always a different theme, and we raise for a different nonprofit. And it's just a wonderful way to give back to the community around us in any small way that we can. Whether it's buying a ticket to attend or donating a gift basket, when we put all that money together, even if it's somebody gave $5, we come up with several thousand to give to someone in need. And so part of this Share Your Sparkle movement is to help people realize we can all do something, even if it's in some small way, because collectively it makes a big difference in somebody's life that's in need. And so that's part of the work that I do for my own fundraising. And then I also help in my community a lot with Caregiver Volunteers of Central Jersey, which is a nonprofit that I simply adore, who gives back to the seniors in the area. Usually a face that's forgotten. When we see cute puppies or people, children, we want to give, but the face of a senior has been marginalized. So it's just a wonderful life I'm living.
Yeah, and so what do you do when you volunteer? Like, do you have a specific senior that you volunteer with in any way?
Yeah, so with caregivers, they provide free of charge all types of services. So one little area that I help in is I'm assigned a senior in the area, and I make a reassurance phone call to her once a week. So I may be the only voice that she has a conversation with. A lot of times these people are homebound. They, don't get out. And so we both look forward to our chat every week. And it's such a simple way to give if you don't have a lot of time. It's just, you're home, you're making a phone call. It could be 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and you're really just being the highlight of somebody's week that week. And what a wonderful feeling it is.
So that brings us full circle, because working with a population that is slightly older, living with different forms of dementia and Alzheimer's is actually what inspired you to get into life coaching. And even before that, you were working as a teacher with a slightly younger group. Tell me about, just kind of briefly, the path that led you to life coaching and how working with these folks brought you to where you are today.
So I started my career with a teaching degree, and I worked in grade school with the children who had attention deficit disorder and hyperactivity disorder. And from early on in my career and in my youth, I noticed how people who, and you can't see my air quotes, but people who are labeled as different, how they're treated and viewed differently, and they're just not given that fair chance to let their likability and their personality shine. And so I just always found that to be such an injustice, regardless of the age. Moving on from children in that setting, I went and worked with people from ages 18 to 92 who came to a day program for those with developmental disabilities. So there was a host of diagnoses that came, and I shouldn't even, that's even wrong for me to say it that way. So many different people with a diagnosis, because we shouldn't be identified by whatever our ailment or illness is. And it's just such a rewarding way to get to know people and to make others in society view that we are all people. We come with our baggage, the good, the bad, the ugly, but there's something positive to see in everyone. And I've enjoyed that work, and from there moved on to working with people strictly with different forms of dementia, Alzheimer's disease being one of them, and just noticing in life how they're viewed differently because of that label, and always felt great about making them have a better quality day, working with caregivers, whether it was professionals or family members, to learn how to communicate more effectively, how the approach we use and the attitude we use make all the difference in what we're doing to make a situation that seems hopeless not as bad as it is. So I've had a great career, which is continuing, and now moving into honing that into my life coaching, working with people regardless of what they're coming to me with, to help them see there's a better way and how to, know their purpose and get that clarity and what to focus on and have someone that holds them accountable. We all just need to learn what our full potential is in life, and then, let that sparkle shine and reach that potential.
Yeah, and kind of clean out that gunk so we can make room for that, like getting rid of those kind of unwanted negative behaviors that are like frustration and anger and sadness and pain, and kind of, clean those out and make room for the good stuff.
I love that. I'm going to put that on my next business card. Kaba Valis, helping you clean out the gunk. Because that's what it is. We get so clogged with it that we don't see our greatness.
Yeah. Although you might get some calls from confused people with like clogged bathtubs, thinking that you're.
I can tackle that too.
All right, Mary, tell people how they can find you, how they can get in touch with you, all your socials, all that good stuff.
Well, there's this bright shining light over my house. Oh, come this way. No, okay, there's no bat signal. You'll have to contact me either by telephone or through technology of some sort. I am on Facebook, Mary Kaba Valis, or Your Sparkling Potential. My telephone number is 732-814-2365. And you can get in touch with me if you go through Facebook, Your Sparkling Potential. There's an area where you can send me an email or a telephone call, and I will definitely get back to you.
That is an example of someone who has nothing but faith in humanity. Just here's my number. Just like
here
this.
It is.
Here it is.
Here to help you.
Yes. So, Mary, thank you so much again.
Thank you.
It's been such a pleasure. So this is Helaina Hovitz Regal, shining a spotlight on people living with purpose. I hope you got your fix here today. But if you need more positive vibes, head to HelainaHovitz.com. Find me on Facebook or Twitter. And of course, I also wrote a book. In the words of Harvey Milk, you can't live on hope alone, but without it, life is not worth living, and you gotta give him hope.